Hello everyone, today we're going to start with Stalin. The subject is national question. With that, I'll turn the subject to my grandson Tristan. Go ahead, Tristan.
All right, thank you. So as my grandfather just said, today we're going to be talking about Stalin's view on the national question. And what I mean by that is specifically we're going to be talking about what Stalin viewed the nation to be. So basically we're going to be explaining what Stalin thought a nation was. So basically Stalin starts off his book Marxism and the National Question by stating that a nation is not ethnic or tribal. So basically a nation is not constituted by race, ethnicity, nothing like that. Instead, Stalin says, and he establishes that a nation is built off of common historical communities. So, for an example of this, let's say North Korea and South Korea. Now, the division between the two countries hasn't existed for very long in hindsight. Like, if you take into consideration, all of history, then this distinction between North and South Korea hasn't existed for any time at all. It's just existed for, 50 years or something around that, 50 years around that time. So we can kind of see here that because Korea has kind of been historically, since Korea's existence, it's historically been a united nation. It hasn't been divided, it's been united into one singular kind of power, one singular area, and one singular community. Then we can say that in terms of history, we can consider North Korea and South Korea to kind of be constituting the same nation, and that nation would be Korea, right? So Stalin says that, first of all, one of the main components of a nation is having a historically constituted community. So an established community that has been established throughout history, a good amount of history. Then he starts off again by saying that another characteristic of a nation is having a common language that's spoken among people. And if you don't have a common language that's spoken among people or the residents of the nation, then it's not a nation, and instead it can be considered as just kind of like a little collection of states. He then also goes on to say that a characteristic of a nation is a common culture, or a common set of beliefs, cultural beliefs that's held among the members or residents of that nation. And then finally, he says that a nation is constituted by a common area or a common region. So basically, a nation must, kind of exist in one area of the world and constitute kind of like one geographical area. And he says that, for example, we don't consider America and Britain to be the same nation, even though they were, kind of the same thing for a long time. America didn't exist until about, 300 something years ago. So even though America, it hasn't existed for that long in the sense of, historically it hasn't existed for that long, and those areas kind of just belong to Britain, we still consider America to be its own nation because it has its own, kind of geographical territory. So that would pretty much wrap up our subject, wrap up the video in general. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.